Okay. Peter, again, over to you then.
Right, good evening, folks. I'm working with Photoshop CS6, and Peter Civita's working with Photoshop CC. So mine's an old version. And what we're going to do is going to probably work on the same picture, but I'm going to do mine on CS6 on Topaz Remask 3, and Peter's going to work on Photoshop CC, and he'll show you how much better and quicker and easier it is to cut out. Now, my Topaz is in the filter drawer. If you go down to Topaz Labs and Topaz Remask 3, it brings that image up, and so you can work on it. It all goes green for some reason. Now, what I need to do is go round the image of the people to cut them out. This was some dancers we saw in Edinburgh, and they were doing a show in the Royal Mile, and we just loved the way they were dancing, but it was difficult to get a good shot of them whilst they were dancing. So when they finished, we went up to them and said, "Excuse me, but can we do a couple of shots of you?" And they posed like that for us. Right, first thing you need to do is cut them out. So what you do is get this blue brush. Can you see the blue brush is there? So click on that, and then go to your brush size. Get a brush. There's a brush all the way through like that. Right, let's go in and blow it up. Let's blow the actual picture up so you can get a bit more detail. Let's go back and start again. Right, brush size. Let's go down a little bit more. And so we'll start going out. What you need to do is go half over the actual subject and half over the background. Right, all the way up. And so we do the other side. Don't worry if you go overlapping. It's a bit slow and laborious, but it's the way I do it. As I say, it's a lot easier with Peter's system. But as I say, if you want to bring your palette over a bit, you just go up to this little square. Can you see it at the top left-hand corner? And just drag it over, and then you can move on. I don't want the heel of the shoe in. It doesn't bother me that much because you're not going to see it on the actual picture in the end. And then you bring it around, all the way around the image. This is working a lot quicker than I thought it would be, because I believe when the lady did a talk last week, she found the actual Photoshop wasn't working as quick as what she wanted it to be. Now you can make this brush a bit bigger if you wanted to. There you go. Just go over the outside, go up the top. I'm still using this system now after all these years. This Topaz, you could, I don't know if you can buy it on the internet these days, but
yes, you can.
I suppose you can.
Yeah, still
bring it down there, around the image, getting a bit closer, all the way up. Need to get in a bit, reduce the size. There you go, around there, half over the hand and half over the background, all the way around. And then you need to do this little bit as well, inside there. Right, and go in there, bring him round there. There are that many different methods of cutting out, and every photographer I know does Photoshop work. They all do it in a different way. I don't think anybody works the same way. I mean, I know when Barbara Hawthorne talks to me about how she works in Photoshop, I ain't got a clue what she's on about. And and she hasn't got a clue what I'm on about when I work with mine. There it is, coming down there. What we do need to go there is go in a little bit closer on that area there. Oh, she's got tattoos on there. Look, I've never noticed that before. Or names of somebody in there. Go in a bit closer. Reduce the brush size. Can you all see that brush size? A bit too small. Bring it up a bit. There we go. We're going in. When you get in a situation like that where there's a bit of hair, just go right over all of it. Get back in there. So you've done that a little bit. Come down the hair.
Peter, if you want to increase or decrease the brush size, do the square brackets work as they do in Photoshop?
I haven't got a clue.
Okay.
I am very limited in the knowledge that I have in Photoshop. I know a lot of people are a lot more wiser and informative on Photoshop than I am. I tend to know what I know, and that's about it. I know it's a bit stupid expression, but any hair like that, just go over it. Anything down there,
John.
all the way down. There we go. There we go, all the way down. Bit more hair there. Right, let me have a look, see what we've done and what we need to do. Have we done it all? I think we have. I think that's gone all the way over. So when you're satisfied that it's all done, you just go into this red bucket. There's a red bucket there. Just click on that and put the red bucket on the background. Great. So we're in business. However, let's just talk, let's just look at certain areas where we went into, where the red bucket has. There's a little bit there, fill that one. And there's a little bit there, fill that one. So we have got the cutout. So compute mask.
There's a bit at the back of her neck as well.
How's that? Okay. So therefore, I'll press the OK button. Now what it'll actually do, it'll actually do a background copy of your cutout. So if I click on that one, so there's the cutout what you've got. Okay, there it is. So you've all automatically got your background, your picture of your people. So what you need to do now, and this is the biggest issue, is to try and look for a background, a suitable background. Well, this is what I did originally when I did the picture. I got this picture of a street in Edinburgh, and so therefore I've got my street in Edinburgh, and I've got me cutout. Right there it is. You see the cutout there? Now what I want to do is to move the cutout across into that area on there. So I highlight the layer that's got the background, the cutout. You can always identify it because it's got like a checkered matting all the way around it. So get the move tool, which is there, and hopefully move it over. That's always comes up like that, into there. So I'll finish with that now. I'll just minimize that. So all of a sudden I've got them in the picture there. And so there you go. And apply it. Now, if you're really critical, you can just have a good look all the way around. Somebody did tell me about the hair, which I forgot about. Can you see the hair? I could always go back if necessary, but for this method, I can't be bothered. I think you might be able to rub it out, to be quite honest. I don't know, I can't remember. So let's go in there and make it a bit bigger. Could we rub it out? I'm not quite sure whether you can or not. So we'll cut it out. But it was all right in rehearsals. I got it right in rehearsals. I always use the wheel. I got a mouse. So I always work with a mouse, and there's a wheel on the mouse which I find invaluable. I could not do without this wheel of the mouse. It's to enlarge my pictures. There we go. Just get rid of that. There you bring in your background. Just using it. Well, there was another area as well where can't remember where the other area was. Yeah, just give me a minute.
Under his hand.
Was there an area down there that I missed? I could always go in there. Just give me a minute. There you go. Blot it out. Rub it out. You're not going to notice it really in Photoshop. You're not going to notice it on the print. So if you're really critical, you can go around all your masking and just have a good look to see what you're. Sometimes you get like little fuzzy edges. It's not the be all and end all. It has got its limitations. If you get funny edges, I'll just go into a layer, new layer. I always work in layers. I love layer masks. Everything is done in layers and layer masks. And I'll just get the clone tool. I never like working with the clone tool over 20%. Make sure that all layers are actually highlighted. So when you've got your clone tool, you can go in tight and just clone some of the background out and get rid of it. I might actually up the ante a little bit on this one, up the opacity on this one to about 32, just to make, because we're running out of a bit of time now. So you just get rid of it. You notice that all my background layers are all black. It's because you don't have to bother a lot with this type of stuff. So it's just that's just a general. So there it is. There they are. So what do I do with it now? I normally finish everything off in oh dear, what's it? In the other software. Just bear with me. Let's just layer. Let's merge it. Let's just get rid of it. So go into filter, Nick Collection. I love Nick Collection. Color Effects Pro 4. I just love that software. I always tend to go in there and finishing everything off there. But this is just a quick little blimp, a quick look of what I do. So I've got a vignette filter on there, just vignette it down. And what you do is you can just add layers to it, add things to you could put glamour glow if you wanted to, and just alter it, warm it up, cool it down, warm it up, cool it down. If you don't want it, just get rid of it. And it'll still be there. Just add a filter. Brilliance warms. There's lots and lots of different things you can do there. So I would tend to finish it off in that area. I just and there just that'll put the Nick Effects filter into your picture. I just feel it looks a bit oversaturated, and so I'm going to take a bit of the saturation out of it.
Yes, please. No, it's on. It's a Zoom thing.
Okay.
Right, and so layer, new adjustment layer, new and saturation. Just get rid of it. Just take a bit of the saturation out of it. I think that all of a sudden take it down to about 30. All of a sudden it takes a little bit off there, and put a new layer in as well. New layer, because I just feel sometimes they look like they're floating in midair, and I like to put something underneath them. So going to soft light. I always use soft light for burning and dodging. I just love soft light. All my images are done with soft light. There's a dark area there. I'm going to probably go a little bit over the top on this one, and so therefore I'll just put in a dark layer, just darken it down all the way around the image. Get a leg darker. These areas here, I can get those darker. This soft light is a little bit more subtle than the normal one, whereas with the dodge and burn. I just feel the soft light just adds that extra little bit of delicacy to the actual burning in, and just so, you know, also you could just have a look and see what you've done. Turn it on and off. I would also work on that back area there if I was doing the picture again. Just work on that area. So let's go this layer, merge visible. Let us go to filter. Let's make it. I'm into a black and white phase at the moment. I'm doing everything in black and white, and I love silver effects. Silver effects is really strong software. What I like is hard structure, smooth. No, that's high key smooth, high structure smooth. That's the one I like. I tend to like that. And you can also alter the effect you get in there. Just drop areas down, lighten areas. Automatically adds a layer to it as well. When you're going to Nik software, automatically that adds a layer. So get that processed. I would probably do a lot more work just towing everything down on this one. Anyway, that's one of them. You want to do? I'll do another one. Shall I?
Yeah.
Oh, you're bored already? Now this is a challenge, Annika. This is really challenging. Now, this was done at Blackpool. I like the girl, didn't like the chap in the background. Right, let's go into, oh, sorry, I'll close the wrong one down. Let's go into filter, Topaz Labs, remask 3. There are other remasks around. I mean, this is an early version, but I've always found it just as good. And this is a challenge, Annika, one in it, really. Dear me, look at all the hair you've got to do around this one. So again, blue brush size, make it a bit bigger. So all you do is just go around the arm all the way down. I'm not bothered about that piece of hair, doesn't worry me. But if you want to keep it, just go over it. Whoop. Processor's going mad on this computer. Just quickly, I'm just going to do this very quickly, so gives you a bit of an idea what you can do. You see the highlight at the top there. I have sent these images to Pete Civita, and he might be doing the same process as I'm doing with his on Photoshop CC. So you can tell that his system is probably far quicker than my system. But I'm a person who doesn't like change. I just, once I'm happy with a system, I will stay with that system for as long as it goes until it breaks down or whatever, God forbid, touch wood it doesn't. And so, again, just quickly, I would be a little bit more careful than this if I was doing it on my own. Yeah, this was done at Blackpool, punks at Blackpool. They normally meet there outside the Winter Gardens every first weekend in August. and the success ratio is not that strong there because you don't get many good-looking punks. Some of them are really scruffy, but this girl was, you can understand why I wanted to photograph this girl, because she was absolutely super and looking. So I just going there. I'm going over a talking only. I don't know what that means. Anyway, again, and I didn't want the guy in there because he was ugly. Yeah. Very quick. Oh,
Peter, when you stop and start, are you having to use an Alt key or anything, or does it
no,
just let you
I
start
don't.
again?
I don't use shortcut keys at all. I don't know. I see a lot of people use a lot of shortcut keys. I've never ever used shortcut keys at all. And so I'm just all. This is all with the mouse.
You're holding the button down, aren't you?
I'm holding the button down. Yes. Good
Right.
point. Thank you.
Okay.
So let me go and go. Boop, boop. Right. So shall we have a look? See if we can. So remember, red bucket. Boop. Oh, red bucket, red bucket, red bucket. A little bit there. Let's go a little bit tighter on that. So I'll get the bucket a little bit more. That's better. Back out again. Red bucket. That's super. That is. That's okay. Right. Once you're happy with it, compute map. There are other things you can do. You can go up to the top here and split the screen. So you can split the screen. You'll have the picture you'll have the picture where it is, and all this lot. But I'm just going to do it very, very basic tonight. So compute the mask. It'll automatically set that there's the actual thing. So there's the actual cutout. You can see there's lots and lots of areas that probably need a bit more attention on that one. But so there you go. There's your cutout. There she is. So what shall I do with the cutout? So let's find a background. So so I've got a picture of one of the walls that we photographed them against. And so what I'll do is get out. So all I do is get the actual picture of the girl. Make sure you've got the right one, the one that's cut out. Can you see there on the right hand side? Then get your move tool and click and drag her over. Let's get rid of that one, minimize that. So there she is there. As I say, on this one, you've got lots and lots of bits of problems on this one. It's not as clean as you would like it to be. But I'll go into a new layer, okay, and just use the clone tool just to clone some of the rubbish out. We need to get a bigger brush. Let's click on the background, get rid of it. So, you know what I mean? I've got a black thing.
Oh, yeah. Right on there, thank you. Thank you very much.
Photoshop, Ivan.
Yeah, it's cutouts, you know, putting things on other things and stuff.
So that's basically another one, but as I say, you probably need a lot more work on that one to clean it up, really. So it's 9 o'clock now, so probably another 15 minutes. Let's just go into, I'll just show you a few pictures that I've done before. This is a sequence that I used in a talk, and it's basically the same thing as we've already seen, but I'll just go through it again very quickly. And oh, it's not moving on, is it? No. So like the actual pictures are not moving on. I'll have to get rid of. Just give me a minute. You've worked all right in rehearsals. I need to close that down and I'm in Photoshop. I need that in slideshow. Sorry about this, folks. I'm all over the place. Just give me a minute. Right. Browsing bridge. New slideshow. Right. So there's the picture. And that's what we're going to end up with. So again, it's the same situation as I've just explained. You got the background and you go into Topaz Labs, Topaz Remask 3, and then all you do is then go around the image, cut it out the background. When you come to any veils or anything like that, just go over the complete veil. So when you've got that, and you fill it with red, or red bucket, and then you've got your keep area, and that's the original area. You can see a few bits of aberrations around there, but work with dark backgrounds and it cues all that. There you go. But look at the veil, how he's cut the veil out quite nicely in there. So you end up with this background copy. There it is there, and there it is all masked out. Now, if you want to know any more about it, just go on to Topaz Remask 3 tutorial. It's on Google, and you'll have a bloke called Greg Verstrami come on, and he'll talk you through it. Exactly the same thing, and he uses a dog that he does, as I say, goes into Remask 3, and he goes around the dog with the blue area, cuts it out, bang. Yeah. There it is. Then so looking for a background, found a background, and I just put it in, put that background. I didn't use a lot of the veil. Just through. Oh, this is how the picture ended up. The original picture what we worked on. On the original picture, I went to Nick Effects Pro 4 softwares, Silver Effects Pro 2. I structure smooth, Topaz Labs, Topaz black and white. I use the two layers there, but again, it'll be difficult to go through now because we ain't got the time. It was called Dancing in the Street. There again, here's another one. And I call that. That's the way the original picture ended up. Multicolored punk. You want to see a few more cutouts now, but I'm not going to do a demo on the cutouts. Just going to show you a few pictures what I've got using the using cutouts. This is a monastery in Lisbon, which I thought was fantastic because of wonderful backgrounds. And I got this girl from Birmingham who was in the street, and she got she got a hand out there. It looked like I got a phone, but his phone's not visible. And then I put this girl in there, and I thought, not quite sure whether I like that or not. So, but I didn't. I felt she's got a hand out, but she got nothing in her hand. So I got Sandra to hold a phone. I got Sandra to hold a cigarette, and then I put a cigarette in her hand and the phone in her hand. And I got the girl, I put it in black and white. Still not happy with it. I don't know if anybody else works the same, but you go through these processes. And so I thought, I know what I'll do. I'll use this guy, another guy from Edinburgh, and I'll just put him in the foreground. And I felt he was a lot stronger, and I called it Secret Liaison. This one you probably saw the other night in the monochrome DPI competition of this girl. This is a girl from Edinburgh. Edinburgh Fringe is great because they're actors and actresses all promoting their shows that they're performing, and sometimes they give you expressions that all actors, as I say, they give you, if you say, give me a sad expression, and that's exactly what they'll do for you. This is Cork Abbey. Love this corridor. So what I've done with this, I've just flipped it round, and then I've reshaped it to put her on the left-hand side, and with that door. And I thought the door needs something in there, a shadow. And I put a shadow in there to start with. Not quite sure about that shadow. I didn't like it. So what I did, I photographed myself, the back of Waitrose in Stowe, which you didn't really want to know. And so I photographed myself, and then I put that shadow in the back there. And I felt that was a lot stronger. And then I tilted the head a little bit more into the picture, and it's called Behind the Hall Door. This guy, again from Edinburgh, I thought it's the red that I liked on his face, but I worked on his eyes to start with. That's another story I could take you into at a later date when I work on eyes with a transform tool. This is a background again from Lisbon. I flipped it round and I put him on the left hand side. And what do I do now? And then me again, another shadow. So I'll put a shadow coming in from the right hand side, a little bit too sharp, so it needs to be softened down. And then I'll fiddle about with it. I don't know, I do a lot of fiddling and diddling and making sure that it looks right. And in the end, I call it threatening shadow. I've got to think about shadows. This girl again is from Edinburgh. As I say, they just you get them to. That sometimes they go into poses themselves, and she used to put her hands up to her face, and I thought, wow, look at that. And so all I need is a background. This is a Red House Cone in Worsley. It's a heritage centre close to where I live, and I like that as a background. So all I've done is just put her into the picture, and I call it Grief. This one that's another Edinburgh picture. Just love the makeup, and I thought, what can I do with this girl? So I saw a picture off a wall of a sad clown. I thought that looks quite nice, but I don't know. I went off the idea. It didn't work for me, and then I just all of a sudden I did a monochrome version, and then I just got rid of all the monochrome bits and just revealed the colour parts, and I felt that was a stronger image in the end than the previous one, and that's a lot. And I think it's over to Peter Civita now, because it's 9:10, and I've had my little go, and I hope you've enjoyed it. If you want to ask any questions, email me, whatever. But over to Pete.
Thanks for that, Peter. Fascinating, and well done.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Well, I am going to use the same couple of pictures that Peter's done. I work totally different to Peter. So, like as you can see on the screen now, every year I create a background folder, a cutouts, the files, the images, print and PSD folder for all that. And when I'm out and about travelling, I take backgrounds galore. And as I show the files we'll see here, just click on that, and let's have a look in there. These are the files that we're going to use tonight. Peter's is in here somewhere.
It's the sharp one.
That one, right? So this is the one I'm going to sort of do. I don't know. Yeah, we'll get rid of that. I don't know what size Peter was using, but I've actually sized everything that you're going to look at tonight into 2000 pixels on the long side. So that's what you're going to see. So this is the first cutout. The first thing I always do, and this is the way I do it, is I copy the background by just dragging it down to the copy layer. I then actually just stop looking at the second layer. So that's the first stage. I go over here and pick up the magic eye, what is it called here, the magic wand, and I click on that, and at the top you will see you get subject sharing, select mask, point size 32. Those are my standard settings. I think that's probably what it is. So then all you do is click select mask, Yeah, and that's it. The computer now is thinking about it, as you can see, and lo and behold, it is now selected what Peter's did. Then you select it and mask it, and now you've got the mask cut out there, even got the healing, as you can see. Now, the only bit on this side that I tend to play around with on the right is the transparency. If you drag it right to the right, you get the total cutout. If you drag it to the left, you get the original picture. So I like to work somewhere around here so I can actually see the area I'm working on and what is behind it. The plus button is there so we can just blow it up. The only thing normally that you're going to have to do here, I only use the two brushes here. This one is a refined edge brush. This one actually wipes everything out, which I don't use very often. So refined edge, I right click to get the size. So I don't know, I don't mean that. Get round about that size, and then I will just go around the areas where Peter had issues with. And then I'll just do the edges down here. I'll press the space button to move it up with my mouse. There's a bit there, I think. So we'll click the full button there. So we just bring that back in. We go back to the find edges.
Which was that button you pressed, Peter? You said
the only two I use, the find edges and the one underneath, which is a brush tool, and that brings everything back in totally. Okay. So there's a little bit of background just there. So with the refined edges, I can take that out quite quickly. There's a bit in the fingers, the edges bits, and I'm looking around. I can't really see anything else. So then I'll just click OK, and we're back into Photoshop now. Now this is the real clever bit I've always found. In Photoshop, down the bottom here, you've got layer mask. So you add layer mask now. And there's your mask. Now, the thing is, again, I can just move it up and around to have a quick look. So on here, we're losing a little bit of detail. So because we're in a layer mask mode, all you got to do is paint in white or black. So if you want to see it, you paint in white. So you pick your brush. Again, I'll just right click to reduce the size, and then I'll get rid of that bit there, and you just paint in the white areas here. And if you've got something you want to take out, which we haven't really, well, we're missing a bit of shoe here. So this is why I put the one in underneath, so I can actually see what I'm missing. So I'm now painting white in there, roughly. Okay, there's a bit there we don't want, so I've just clicked over on the right-hand side, on the left-hand side to the black paint. And again, as Peter, I'm using this as 100%, so you don't have to use 100. You can vary things like that. So that's roughly what I've done. I'll go back into Photoshop. What is it? I call it Bridget. Well, it's you got to have a name for your browser. Mine's Bridget. So in Bridget, I will look for backgrounds. So where shall we put them? We'll put them in here. So just open that. That is now opened. This is somewhere in Morocco. And the way I copy the things over, I'll pull this out now. So I'm clicked on the one with the mask. All I do is click on the mask with my left click and just drag it onto the picture. And then I use the move. And there we've got it. And if blowing it up, you can move, you can see the hair over the window there. And that's, you know, that's sort of fairly quick, and we've got the picture already done, and it's masked out. Some of them are a lot easier to do, obviously, than others, but I mean, that was fairly quick compared to sort of going all the way around it. This one, I found files a little bit more awkward. Come on, open me up. So again, I'm going to rush through these again. You copy it, drag it down to the second icon, the one next to the bin, not the bin itself. We can just reduce that. So we've got two. You take the bottom one off because you don't want to see what's happening. You click on your magic wand, select subject. I tried this afternoon and it doesn't do the hair properly. And it's going to actually pick both the subjects. So we've got both people and we've got a little bit of a sort of there. So again, I go to, can't get rid of this up. What's up? Select and mask. And then it's not worked as it. I can't get rid of this off the top now. Oh. Can't. Sorry about that. So we got there, select and mask. Just doesn't seem to want to. For some reason, that is not working.
I have exactly the same problem, Peter, from time to time, and I never figured it out yet.
I'll start again. So we're going to do it for select subject. It's actually quite interesting working with Peters because even though we sort of take the same picture, there we are, now it's worked. So if you look at the mask itself on this one, obviously you can see it's nowhere near as good as the one of the dancers. So we'll just come back in. And again, I just use the Find Edges brush, second one down, and you can just paint it down. Actually, you can use you can use the main one for the middle bits. So you just paint all the middle bits in first. That's about right. You just have to watch, especially on sort of facial areas, that you've got all the right bits of face in there. So once you've got it in, I mean, I'll really rush that. You can then use the Find Edges to actually get rid of the overlapping bits that you've got. So the bits in between. So jumping back to the main one editing in there. So it is rough, so I'm going to say okay to that. I'll come in here now. I'm going to put the layer mask on it, the layer mask there. Right, now this is obviously a lot worse. So we want to get rid of the guy there. So we're going to paint him. So pick the paintbrush, we're in black. We'd use a larger brush so we can just rub him out and everything that's there. I would probably go to right click, always brings up the brush's size and hardness there. So I've gone into hard mode, and of course if I do take part of her body out, I can just change it to white and paint her back in. But for this one, it's a fairly quick, just get rid of the greens of him and take all that out. Small bits just to get rid of the little touches there. So the ear's missing, so we want a bit more ear in there. We click on the right and you can just paint the earring, you can paint that, that's gone missing, light, you know, anything where you can see the background through it, you might want to put it back in. You know, you're going to have to take a little bit more time possibly than this. But it gives you the rough idea, and we're masking all this out now. So that we've got the sort of the girl there, and again we're going to put a background in. So I'd go into my background directory, backgrounds, and what we're going to use here. Well, I've got some texture type background here. So that comes in. Drag the girl down. Again, just pick up with your mouse on the left click and drag it over. So that's sort of my version of it. I tend to take these a stage further, and while it's not quite as good as I would hope, I'm going to take this a stage further. So I click on both. I've got both layers now selected. I'm then going to copy both layers. I love to copy things. I take off two, so I've only got I've got two now. I've got a picture you see on the screen. It's two separate layers. So I'm going to merge the visible. I am now going to copy that one again. So now I've got that. So what you see is that you've got two versions of that. Now I love Topaz as well. And I've got two versions of Topaz that I use. I use textures. The beauty of Topaz textures is you can load your own textures in here. Eventually. There we are. So here's one, actually this is one of the textures that I've created earlier. So, I mean, you may think that, okay, and these are all the elements that I've built up in here. If you go down to here, these are all the ones, these are textures and things that are actually in Topaz, the version. So you get all these anyway, these versions, black hole. I quite like that one. I've got, and you can actually adjust these yourself. But if I come down under P, I've got one of mine that I've brought in, LMNO P PE. So yeah, the Peter Vega one. So that's mine. So then I would just say okay to that. So that has come out like that. And now the reason for having the second copy underneath it, what I do then is take the eraser. I'm at 100%. Because I do the faces at 100%, I do eyes and that at 100%. Oops. Control, get rid of that. I've got the paintbrush, which is not good news. So and now I'm change that to 100. So now I'm taking the texture that I've just put on off totally. So if you take that one out, so that I've rubbed all that out in that area there and that. So we can see what we've actually got. What then I would tend to do is I reduce this to about 25, 30, doesn't really matter. And then reduce me thing, and I just brush a little bit in here. And maybe take a little touch of that. It's not doing it 100%, you see. And there's my version of each picture. The other thing, I always do mine at 16:12. So I will cut that down to 16:12, eventually 16 by 12. That's about okay. So that normally I would cut them down before I put the textures on, so that everything's in there. I'm going to show you a little trick now that I always use. I'm going to flatten that. So now we've got just get rid of anything else. I would save it as a photo PSD beforehand, in there. Now, if I want to put a white line around this, the easiest way is just to have 2 images here, 2 layers. You go into Edit, Stroke, change the colour to white. I should be on white, but I use normal, 50%. So this is putting a normal mode line around the centre of the edges. So there's your line, and that's done without touching the picture. And that's it. So we'll do that. But I'm going to jump into my files and just like this one. Now, if I was going to actually use this, I'm not all that 100% on the eyes. I've got a folder now with all eyes in, so I would take the eyes out before I did anything. But this shows you the speed that you can actually do cutouts. This one's going to be simple. Select subject. I'm just going to do exactly what I've done on the other ones, but I'm going to do it in sort of real time. So that one says OK onto that. Put the mask on. I want a background. We want a background for this, so we go into the backgrounds. Dear, background. We'll put her in a church. Wait till the church comes in. Drag you down. And of course, what I haven't done is actually brought the church in at the right size. So I thought I'd got one. Well, we'll use, this is a version of where Pete was at Cork Abbey. Let me just check the size first. Yeah, this is a 2000, so we're all right there. So again, just click on the picture there and you just drag the lady in. Click the move button to move it around. And maybe that is probably a bit small on that, so I would sort of edit, transform, scale. Photoshop, the new version, you don't have to do anything to hold it down. You can just sort of bring it in like that. And I would do exactly the same now. Again, if I want to do a quick run through. And this is sort of real-time mode. This is this is sort of merge visual. Copy the layers. Filter, topaz, textures. Now, it's a lot slower over the internet. Right, so I'm just going to get rid of all that. Effects. So when you have got all these versions, I mean, that is one I've created. This is for paint. Actually, it's rust. So I sometimes use that one. Actually, I'll use it now. I've also painted some of my own layers. So then again, you just rub it out. So you find the eraser. I can go to quite a big size here, and I've got that big. Yeah, that'll do. Because we do the low density first, so we just bring in the right there. So the whole face should be cut out first. I can just take that out. You can see if you've missed any. You put that back in. Just reduce the opacity down now, 25, and just you can actually just the amount you want to press on here, and it just blends the areas in. And again, if you don't want that totally, you can just drop in there and reduce the opacity of that. So you've got that sort of image there. Just shut all those down. That one is the one I've created in a couple of, well, 5-10 minutes. That is one that's been cut out, and that one, there's the file. Again, I'll run through the cutout process again, because this one's quite interesting, because if you look on the left here, there's a little bits of hair. So again, you click your mouse button there, you select subject. It's quite a bit quicker on without the internet on, to be honest. Select mask, and I'll just make that slightly larger. I'll just go over the hair bits, and you can see the hair coming through now. Okay, layer mask, background. Drag her out of the way, click it on there. And now you can see the hair. I'll rush that a little bit. I'll probably, you could do that a little bit better, but it's so easy to do, I think, in Photoshop.
Peter, oh, gone. Don't matter.
What?
I was going to ask how you just to go over how you place the cutout onto your background, new background image.
Right. Okay, we'll pick a. I'll show you.
You just
These me cutouts are saved as PSDs.
Yep.
I always save them as PSD, so that, as you can see, it comes in with the layer mask, and it comes in with the original. So there's the original picture. I've always got that. And there's the layer mask. So now you put a background in. And I think I used that one in the picture. So you drag your back, you drag the girl you want out of the frame. You end up
pulling that up the top. Okay. Yep.
Your background is there.
Yep.
You click on the girl on your cutout with the mask. You can see it on the right. You've got the mask and the original underneath it, which you can always put back in. It doesn't matter. You can leave it like that. I didn't want the hat. If you look on the original, it's got a feather. I didn't want the feather, so I didn't put it in. So you can either do it, all you do is click on the layer over here with the right. So I've clicked on the layer and you just drag it into the picture.
Okay. Okay, got it. It was that little bit that I didn't quite pick up on earlier. Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, actually, it's some of the backgrounds that I thought I'd say. Oh, background one that's filled in at the right size. So you just drag it over. All you got to do is make sure that the pixel size of the background is going to be the right size to accept the picture. So these are both saved at 2000 pixels. And if you look, you can see through the hair. You look now, we'll see the man's leg through the hair. So, and then you just put the girl in. And I tend to put the textures on and rub them off just to create the sort of the patterns that I want in there. I'm going to show you files. Look at this. This one. Now, Right, this is a straight picture where we took up with a couple of Piro girls, absolutely brilliant. As you'll see in some of our pictures, we've actually taken that and copied it over to this eye, and we've made the eyes a little bit bigger. Now, it's very difficult, I find, when you're actually taking two people to get the picture that you actually want. You might try, you know, you're working with two people and two people. I mean, I don't know whether you know that shortcut, but I've got that selected in the bridge, and if you hit the space bar, it goes full screen. It's very simple. Right, so I like that picture. Now, that's a single picture of the girl, of the back Piro, the same girl, taken at the same place. You can see the pillars are there, just taking it slightly closer. So we open that one up eventually. Now, what I've actually done in my cutouts, I think we should have cut one out. I've cut, so that there's the two of them cut out. I've erased the one, so she's cut out there. I've still got that on, so I can still change the colours, blacks and whites, to increase the mask. So then, oops, got the wrong one. So all you do now is drag the mask, drag the layer onto the top of that one. And of course, I've got size areas miles too big, isn't it? So actually, I'll just take. So on this one, I'll just put the image size to what it should be. That's the original file size. So if I put it to 2000 and drag it in, and then put it, 2000 obviously now is not big enough, so edit, transform, scale. And you can see look at the veil up here. Sorry, I'm pointing. The veil of the hat. You can see that, and you can see through it where the spots are. And you put it on the edge. And then you've got that picture where you've got to balance the sizes right, but you end up with that picture, which I think I might have here in images. Have I got it yet? So that again, so I've actually taken two pictures and put them together to mimic one that I wanted to do earlier. So that was that. Of course, once you've cut it out, you can actually put somebody else in there. This a girl, Pete, well, Mike and myself met and spent an hour with photographing her up in Edinburgh. And you can see it's very easy to drag and drop. That didn't work. I did this one. This is a PSD. This took a little while to cut out. I had a bit more difficulty there, but I'm just showing, I cut that out there, and then I put it on the background. It's still on the same, that background there, I put my painted texture over it and softened it down. And I quite like that, you know, that's sort of a softened area. And the two girls here, I don't know whether I've got the original in this block files. That's the original picture. So they were on a brick wall. So it is fairly easy to cut out. And I must admit, since I've actually gone over, I mean, that was the one I did of Peter's earlier. I did that one. And again, I looked at that and I thought, well, really, the picture needs, I want a teddy bear here. So I needed a teddy bear there. So what I actually did, I produced that version where I've got the teddy bear. Now, if I show you how that was done quickly, cutout. I've got a cutout. Oh, yeah, I've got a cutout, so that's easy. Go into the backgrounds again. It's not there. It must be in files. Yeah, there's the picture with the teddy bear. So that's the picture. So we bring that one in. Now I'm doing this one because it's slightly different. Bring the girl in. Right. Now we've got where we want to put her is there, and the actual teddy bear is nowhere to be seen. So because you can't move backgrounds, what I do here was I double click on the background, call it layer naught, and then I just move the background across, get the right version, click on the layer, move the layer across. Right, so that's the picture that I want. Unfortunately, we don't want all this space here. So again, I use the clone, adjust the size. I'm just going to put grey here. So, and of course, it doesn't really matter me going over her because she's on a different layer. And I'm sort of rushing this down. We don't want beds. Because she's on a separate layer, you can paint quite easy everything over. Now she's fine, the picture's fine. I use 12:16, so I'm cropping it down to 12:16 all the time. And all my pictures end up as 12:16s. And that's the quickness of it. And if you look, I'll show you the final picture. There is that one where I've actually put the texture on and rubbed it off her face and eyes, and that. And that's sort of how that works. Right, I've still got a bit more time. I could show you some pictures. Actually, this was another one. I cut that out using, actually this is again, being as we're talking cutouts. I cut this one out because don't want that. Right, well, we'll crop it because I would put it down to 6 more. So, right, so now I thought this one worked quite beautifully when I tried it. Select subject, and away we go. I just think this is actually, it's like magic, isn't it? Watching this decide what is the subject in the picture. Select mask. Now it's we don't want those areas in, so well, we want everything in here. So we just use this third icon down to actually finish that bit off. To anything that's in the umbrella we want. And you know, it's you can roughly see where the umbrella is. Make it slightly bigger, make it quicker. And as you can, I'm really rushing this, so the bits we don't want in there. Right, we get to the middle one out the 3 brushes now, the fine edges, and we just rub over the fine edge round here. And So all round the edge of the umbrella, we're going to sort of do that. Then we're going to go into a smaller brush size and do the veins of the umbrella here. And again, fairly quick. And it's got a sort of a learning curve as well. It sort of remembers. So it's thinking about it now. Oh, it's still coming round. I can see it coming round here now. That's quick. We'll say okay. You lay a mask on, and there's your umbrella. Again, we've got a bit here, so black we paint out. There's a bit there. Again, I'm doing it fairly rough. Change the size just to, oh, I've missed a bit out there. Now, because I've took a bit out that I shouldn't have done, you can paint it back in with black. So we've got that there. And I'll put a background in so you can just see what it looks like over a background. Where should we go? We'll do the church because it does it'll show out different. So again, just drag it over to the church. Again, we got the church is the wrong size, of course. Background 1, background 2, 3. Yeah, that will do. The background is the right size for that one. Click on them. And you watch the umbrella, I'll bring it right down so you can see going over the different colours of the brickwork. So, you know, I think that's sort of fairly quick and produce that rather easy. You know, to do that in that sort of amount of time, you know, I just think it's just quite a marvellous thing. I'll just show you some of my pictures that I've just been working on. All these are sort of being cut out on the. I've done a series of playing card pictures. The girls have got the face painted, so I did that. The card. I put the card in, but the face was already painted. She was up in Whitby, again with the church background. That was the Game of Thrones area that I was sort of working on. I tried this, one of the dancers from the Smithick studio that I've tried to put in there. I've got sort of various sort of versions of that with the same background. A sort of an arty version. So, I mean, you just do, that's the Cole Cabby background. Some don't work, some do. The Queen of Hearts. this is the background to this is where they filmed Game of Thrones up in Ireland, Dark Hedges. This background has been treated to, there's a painting program I use called Topaz Impression, and that was that. And you can sort of create various painting-like backgrounds with it and that. So the Game of Thrones guy there. So once they're cut out, I quite liked him at one stage.
How do you deal with the color balance when you've got, let's say, a blue tone on the subject and a warm tone on the background, and you don't, and that's because that's how they were cut out, not because it's how you want them?
Well, with this one, as you can see, if that one and that one, that was the first time I used this picture, and I've got this tone here, and it just didn't work. So even though I did some prints of it. So I just went into Photoshop, and in Photoshop you can change the colour very easy. Let's have a look where
the bread is.
Image adjust. You can colour balance. You can change the colour balance in there. You can change vibrance, and I just use those to actually produce the. And so the colour balance is done afterwards. So that's where the more natural sort of balance. This has got the bit of a texture layers in. That one's without the texture layer. It's the Prisoner. It's called Alfie there. I quite like that one. That's one of the newer ones. Again, we've used the background, which I've taken the tone down. I photographed her with the elves in Lincoln, and some of the later ones where, again, this texture, you can see the textures on there, never on the face, onto the background. The one from the church, which you saw Peter's clown picture. This is her partner. I just played around with that yesterday, tried practicing cutting it out. I haven't really found a use for that one. Oh, me birds. Again, I've added the textures and the colours, and I try to, excuse me, I try to blend it in on the sort of shoulder pads here. So the skin is totally off, and I've left the rest in there with the colours of the cutouts. Oh, here's the elf. So there was the two girls. I don't know how many chaps. There's about 5 of them. Sitting is winning. I took it off the badge, so I put the background in, put the light, lit that up a little bit brighter, because that was inside a church. And that's the pair of them straight, with just the background changed, cut out, and just a little bit of softness added over the rest of the image. Interesting, when you photograph them, you don't sort of realise that she's got a red and a green eye on there. So these were sort of some of the, and a monochrome one, white lines. Again, she was up in Lincoln. Again, I tend to use silver effects for the colour cutouts. And even though Pete won his World Cup in this is my version, my picture. I've got the same picture, so that we've got there. So and the white lines in colour. I have just been playing around with that. I don't like that. That was a couple of dancers. Actually, this is in, they were in Argentina, those two.
Can you hear me, Pete?
Yeah, I can hear you.
how do you put in shadows just to make sure you got a bit of relief?
I always find that slightly more awkward. What I tend to do is put a new. It's very difficult to sort of do it fairly quickly.
I'm really thinking about, say, dancers' shoes and where the dancer's shadow is on the floor, even in sort of flattish or softer light. There's usually a shadow that's giving some depth.
Oh yeah, you've got to put shadows in too. If I can find the dancer image, I'll cut it. We'll use the cutout. This is Pete's cutout. Right, so there's a background. There's the dancers. You drag them in, and of course with different size image. Size. I'll just scale it. Right, there's two ways of doing this. The one way is I tend to copy the layer of the dancers. I will then go into image adjust. Is it image adjust? It's where the fill is. Edit fill. So I would color, I'd probably pick a greyish tone. So now I've sort of filled them with colour with this grey tone here, and they're still under there. So then I would mess around with that image, transform, skew. I need to sort of it's not always, sometimes I just paint it on. So if I just say leave it like that, I'll drop it, I'll put the dancers above it, and then with the layer mode here, I tend to sort of because that's in the way. Talking normal. What I will then tend to do is I'm changing the layer mode. So there we are. Not brilliant, but you've got the shadow coming in there reasonably well.
Yeah, if you think about it over time, you're going to get it right, aren't you?
Well, yeah, and maybe just move those up a fraction. And if you don't like this bit here, all you got to do is paint it white, because it's here, it's a mask. So because we got white highlighted, you can just paint over the white. Get the size a little bit better. Well, that ain't work, but yeah, you can do it that way, or I would put a layer in and try and just paint a layer behind. But for something as good as
not painting on the mask, Peter. That's why.
Oh, right, you're right. I've got to select the mask. And that white, we want black to. So yeah, you just take it down, and you can move them onto the mask, onto it as well. So it's fairly quick and rough and ready. And then basically, I must admit, I'm not like Pete. I don't like to leave the sort of the originals as they are. So I would flatten it all up and put this. So now I would select all the 3 layers that we've got here. Again, quick copy down to there. Take the layer, merge visible, copy that, filter topaz with textures. And if I can find the right one, I can show you my painting ones. Texture. Add a texture. Right, in here you have, I've created my own directory. So these are all my own textures in here, and these are the painting textures that I've created. So you can put that one on. It's a bit bright. You can actually reduce the brightness down like that. So we say OK to that. Come on. Now we've got the 2 textures. We've still got the original one up there. We can take that out if you want, or you can leave it in. We take that out and we go back to this one, make it a bit brighter. Click the OK button, which is masked here. And then basically, again, I sort of, you got 2 choices now. You can either just drag the original copy over it, and then you can maybe reduce the opacity a little bit. And you can just blend the tones in and out. I mean, that's an example of how it works. It's not a particularly good example of how the painting, but the other one I do tend to use. Again, I would sort of, if I was going to use that picture, I'd just flatten it down, get rid of all the rest of it. I tend to copy it, and I'll just have a quick open of the other one that I tend to use a lot, which is impressions. So then you've got all these sort of versions here, and there's hundreds of versions, and you can actually go in and change them as well. So I mean, if you clicked on that one, you wouldn't see an awful lot. But sometimes I just used, so if you said that's one I want, which I don't like. But then you've got the artwork there. You can just then opacity up to, I'll put it up to 100 for quickness. And you can sort of create your fantasy art that way. You don't have to rub out everything to show the layer, but you've just created a Cezanne or something. Okay.
Very good, Peter.
Thank you, Peter. Once again, fascinating, food for thought.